Good morning. Welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, West Texas. I'm Anna Schwartz. I'm a lay speaker, and this morning I will be speaking on "Oh, the places your ego will go." And then, can you guide it? Scott Grace, who is also known as the Spiritual Doctor Seuss, wrote this. And I don't do it justice, but I'm going to read it to you. Oh, the places your ego will go. Your ego will travel with you on this earth and be your companion for worse or worse. It pretends it's your friend, your bestest amigo, and makes you feel guilty. That's the job of the ego. It has good judgment and will help you be strong. It has to remind you you've done it all wrong. You're weak and you're lazy and you can't get a clue. That's the voice of the ego to motivate you. Oh, the places you'll go and the guilt trips you'll travel as the ego plays judge and bangs down the gavel. But you always get some relief from your shame by projecting it onto the others you'll blame. For it is the ego at its beastiest best. It nurses its grievances close to its chest. It milks every upset for things to complain about and turns molehills to mountains to put you in pain about. No trust is a must, you must constantly worry. No peace till deceased, you must stay in a hurry. Oh, the places you'll go and the people you'll see, all through the lens of what's in it for me. For the ego believes there is something it lacks, and until it's found, it won't let you relax. You've got to keep moving at speeds that are blinding. Keep searching and searching, but not really finding. Perhaps you will find it in the next one you'll date, true love at first sight, with a soul kind of mate. It's great for a while till the ego takes hold, then, because when two halves combine, they do not make a whole. It's hot at the start, but it will turn cold, for when two halves collide, they cannot make a whole. So the ego moves on, ever constantly striving, addicted to seeking or afraid of arriving. You're traveling fast at the speed of surviving, with fear in the driver's seat doing the driving. The joys of each moment go swishing on by as the ego keeps reaching for pies in the sky. Reaching and reaching with arms that are flailing, and the ego loves giving you F for failing. Or perhaps you are on the fast track to success. You're constantly driven to be great, better, best. You're a mover, a shaker, a big-time achievement-made man, a dazzling diva. You're rich and you're famous and make quite a splash. You're on top of the world and you're rolling in cash. You drive the right car and you've married the right spouse. Today you're on Oprah, tonight the White House. But at night, insecurity pays you a call, because you know any time that you could lose it all. Your shrink says to rest and your spouse sure agrees. Your doctor says ulcers, take 14 of these. You know that you should slow it down sooner or later, but your foot is just glued to the accelerator. Your ego consoles, well, at least we're successful. It's a sign of success to be constantly stressful. You've made it to prime time and everyone loves you, but your self-esteem's built on what others think of you. Now, that's not the end of the poem. However, it kind of goes to a solution at that point. And I want to break here and point out that there are three different kinds of solutions that I'm going to present today. So we'll begin with Scott Grace's solution, and then we'll move on to some others that I will discuss. Okay. When you failed and succeeded enough, you witness your ego exposed in the buff, and you realize without all its protective clothing, the ego is simply a state of self-loathing. And beyond that, you'll find out the biggest of deals that you've dreamt up of the ego, it's not even real. So for richer or poorer, in sickness and health, you commit to the journey of loving yourself. You take back the projections you placed upon others and find through forgiveness real peace is discovered. And find through you realize the glory you searched for outside you is what you are made of and can't be denied you. So you give up your plans and your potions and pills and practice contentment and learn how to chill. Your old superstitions have gone up in smoke, like you can't rest in peace until after you choke. While resting in peaceness, you get inspired to go out in the world with some newfound desires. Desires that spring from your heart and your soul. And wherever they take you, you're going there whole. Because your ego is now in the passenger seat. It rolls down the window and takes in the treats. You're not in a hurry, you're taking it slow, because the journey's as rich as the places you'll go. Where you are going, you don't need to know, for the journey's as rich as the places you'll go. Now that's a real good sounding solution to how to guide your ego. But it's, in a way, it's kind of a pie in the sky also. So let's take a break from that and write down the places that you keep going that you no longer have a desire to return to. Just, spend a minute jotting them down, put them on your phone, whatever. I did this original preparation for a talk in November of 2012. And looking back, what I did then helped me get where I am today, but I still have a ways to go. I made progress though. So, if you have a life plan, you can guide your ego. You can go with the contentment and giving up, surrendering. Not everyone is into that surrender thing. But if you think of it as a life plan, let's look at what a life plan is. And this is as described by Michael Hyatt. Most people wander aimlessly from week to week with no clear destination in mind. And then many are then surprised when things don't turn out like they expected them to. But is it any wonder? And this is why I believe everyone, followers and everybody, should take time to create a written life plan document. There are at least 7 reasons why I believe this is important. A life plan will help you clarify your most important priorities. Your boss has a set of priorities for you. So does your spouse, perhaps your children, others. But what about you? Do you have a list? What's important to you? Number 2, a life plan will enable you to maintain balance. Some people will sacrifice their marriage for their career. Others sacrifice their health or their relationship with their children. But what if you could have robust health, an excellent marriage, and a successful career? Ha ha ha. Michael Hyatt says it's possible, but only if you have a plan, and I do kind of believe that. A plan will provide a filter. Number 3, a plan will provide a filter by which you can say no to lesser things. That is a huge, huge thing. Keeping you focused on where you're going and saying no to all those attractive detours. Once you've said yes to what matters most to you, you are in a better position to say no to those activities that matter less. This gives you the clarity and the courage to maintain your opportunity, to manage your opportunities rather than be managed by them. Number 4, a life plan will empower you to identify and address your current realities. You can't get where you want to go unless you start with where you are. What are the most brutal realities of your life? Where are you falling short? Where do you need to improve? Where do you know you need to improve? Number 5, a life plan will equip you to envision a better future. You need to acknowledge where you are, but you also need to see clearly where you're going. What do you want in each of the major categories of your life? We mentioned boss, which is job. Then there's spouse or partner, and there's children, there's other family members, etc., etc. So those are kind of major categories. So what would they look like in their ideal state? That's kind of looking ahead. This is where it starts to get fun. So number 6, a life plan will serve as a roadmap for accomplishing what matters most. Once you know where you are and where you are going, you are in a position to create an action plan for getting there. It doesn't have to be complicated, but you do have to identify the mile markers and waypoints along the journey. A life plan will do that. A life plan will help ensure that you don't finish life with regrets. For many people, life is not turning out as they had hoped. They are disappointed, confused, and discouraged. You know, COVID and everybody's response to COVID kind of put a big hiccup in everybody's life. But you gotta pull yourself up by the bootstraps. While you can't control everything, you can live your life with a plan and dramatically improve your chances of ending up at a destination of your choice. So you and I are not at the end yet, so we can still develop a life plan. Think of a life plan as a guide for your ego. Keep in mind that any life plan you make today or tomorrow is subject to change. But we must start sometime, or we'll just keep taking those same old ego trips and wondering why we end up at the same destinations with the same disappointments and the same people mad at us for the same things. So now we have the two approaches. This is an approach that appeals to the objective side of me, creating life plans. And it is to use Stephen Covey's advice to start with the end in mind. Life plan seems like a big undertaking, and it is. I just haven't finished it yet. So we can start out with a smaller bite of life. As with any plan, let's say you want to run your own business in 5 years. You have to assess where you are now. What are you good at and enjoy doing? What is your background? Do you have any experience in what you want to do? If you're in a position to, could you intern or co-op to get experience in what it is you want to do? Could you maybe work as a low-level employee in the area where you actually want to end up? Will you have to obtain a license? If so, will it require special education beyond high school? How much will it cost to get that special education? From where will you operate your business? Your home? Building in the backyard? A strip mall? You're going to build your own building out on the interstate? Can you start and run it by yourself? What federal, state, and local taxes, laws, and permits are required? Has your past precluded you from doing what you want to? I.e., a felony conviction for something that was just really stupid in your youth? Are you still in high school or college? And do you have the chance to take economics, business law, and accounting courses? Will you have to pay for additional schooling to get these skills? Is 5 years a reasonable horizon? How are you going to organize your plan? You're going to use a 3-ring binder? A set of file folders? Spiral notebook? What will you do with your business when you decide to retire? And the list goes on and on and on. That's why you kind of need to have an organization for it. Keep in mind that being absolutely focused on your list may leave you single, with no close friends, only a lot of acquaintances, and if you're lucky, a mentor, but don't really count on that. What happens if on a wild and crazy weekend you fall in love or get pregnant? Guess what? Your priorities may change, and you want to be the best spouse or parent that you can be. Then you start that process all over again. Where will we live? Oh, we'll need insurance. What kind? How much coverage? What's the premium? Will it be up to me to support us? Then you can go back to that first one and use it. Where do I go to learn how to nurture this relationship? Who cooks, who cleans, who does maintenance? Obviously, if you're trying to be the best spouse, the two of you will work together on most of these questions. But the support income job question, it's always a good idea to have a backup plan in place. So enough going down that rabbit hole. Let's look at how Michael Hyatt might develop a life plan. And you might ask, who is Michael Hyatt? Well, he's a former CEO of a $250 million corporation. He's the current CEO of an 8-figure leadership development firm. He has proven expertise, doesn't just teach theory, but he supports every teaching with a practical tool that you can use in the workplace. So here's Michael's way. So the first item is outcomes, i.e. when you're dead and gone. Imagine all your friends and family gathered in a room with marble floors, gold tapestry on the walls, rows of chairs covered with matching gold tapestry. There's quiet, beautiful music playing. Oh, it's some of your favorite music. There at the front of the room is a dais with a beautiful box on top. And there in the box is the physical body that your soul has left. What will they say when I'm dead? This can be an incredibly powerful question. What is it that you want those people to say about you? Well, that's basically your legacy, what you're going to be leaving people. And it can be feelings. You know, he was always a bit too busy to share my news with. Anything that I did that was good was never good enough. I always had an accomplishment that was better than mine. Or, the flip side of that, he was always there listening and encouraging me to be my best. She was supporting me while I was beaten and bullied and through the restraining order and divorce and rebuilding my life as a single. He could always say or do just the right thing. That's one legacy that you can leave. But you got to think about that because that controls your actions today. And then there's how would you want the different people to remember you? Not all of these may apply, or you may not be ready to address someone or some group in your life right now. That's okay. It's just something to think about. So there's my spouse, my children, my parents, my siblings, my friends, my colleagues, God. Kind of like if God were an entity that judged you. I'm not overly worried about this because I won't be here, but creating a legacy is a good way to leave this physical world. Then the second category is priorities. What is most important to you? God is the ultimate priority. Until it's first, everything else will just seem out of kilter. And that lines up exactly with what Scott Grace says in his poem. Then self. You have to love and take care of yourself before you can love or take care of anyone else. 3 sub-priorities are all important for balance. Health, growth, and rest. You have to be healthy or you can't do your best. You have to grow or people will get very tired of you. And you have to have rest or you will not have the energy to do anything. Then your spouse. If you have one, they were there before the kids generally, and they'll be there with you long after the kids are gone. You spend intentional time together and connect and plan. Children. Enough said. Friends. A goal could be to make every encounter a perfect moment for them and yourself. To do this, you have to be intentional. You don't just do this by accident until you've done it intentionally enough and then it just comes natural. Career. Work can be a rewarding experience if you keep it from becoming an idol. However, if you don't put it in its place, it can suck the life out of you. I know, I kind of let it do this in 1 or 2 of my jobs. Finances. A goal could be to be proactive in managing money and investments and reviewing spending and setting a budget just to know where you intend to spend your money. not to constrict you, but to let you know where you intend to spend it. Service, doing something for the good of others. And okay, all that's not too hard, but then you come to the action plan. Just like with a job and a company, you've got to have a purpose statement. So that would be a purpose statement for each one of those areas where you want to focus. For friends, it might be my purpose is to befriend and love a few people who will in turn love, challenge, and hold me accountable. An envisioned future. For personal health, it might be, I am lean and strong, possessing vibrant health and extraordinary fitness. I have more than enough energy to accomplish the tasks I undertake. This is because I control my mental focus, exercise every day, choose appropriate portions of healthy food, and take supplements as needed. And I get adequate rest. You could have an affirmation, a mantra, or an inspirational quote. That could be a Bible quote or just anything that really inspires you. Current reality. If you've already, this is part of your action plan now, if you've already accomplished what's in the envisioned future plan, well, obviously you're going to need to adjust your current reality. This measures, for personal health, it might be, I am within 10 pounds of the weight I want to be. I can get through most days without taking off someone's head. I eat pretty well, but I'm concerned that I eat too many carbs. I walk 10 minutes twice a week. I am concerned this is not sufficient and contributes to my low energy some days. I am not currently doing any weight training and am concerned that I will lose muscle tone. Then there are specific commitments. This is where you specifically commit to certain actions in order to move you from your current reality to your envisioned future. Now that I've just outlined, you can it's all packaged up nice and neat for you. It's in a PDF or a Word format, I think. All you have to do is search at michaelhyatt.com. Then going through the exercise of creating a life plan may help you identify some of those ego trips you've taken so many times that you don't even recognize them. You think they're a part of you. The life plan can then act as a guide for your ego. I hope that you can recognize and free yourself from the ego trips that have been holding you back. Thank you for allowing me to learn by preparing this for y'all. And now we have meditation. Take a deep breath. Clear down into your diaphragm. And exhale. Do this again, and as you exhale, think of releasing the tension and the failures and the shame and the blame from your body. And again, breathing in fresh, clean thoughts that keep removing the toxins and shame and blame from your body. Now get comfortable in your chair. The lowest chakra, the red chakra, is at the base of your spine. It's red. It's the one that supports your survival. It is the chakra that can most involve the ego. And that can be a good thing. Because that ego, it protects you. It keeps you from sticking your hand on the stove after you already learned that if you stick your hand on the stove, it could get burned. So be grateful for that ego that protects you. That ego that gave us free choice. Choice to do good or bad. To be selfless and servant-minded, or to be selfish. And now as we sit for a couple of minutes in the silence, I want you to imagine the end. Start with the end in sight. So now imagine that end. It doesn't have to be the end of your life. It can just be, the end of the year, shorter time. Just envision that and hold it in your thoughts. Okay. Begin to come back. Wiggle your shoulders, your neck. Take a deep breath. Open your eyes. And know that you're back in this room, ready to do whatever it is we need to do. Namaste. Thank you for joining our celebration service today. It's brought to you by Unity Spiritual Center, West Texas in Odessa, Texas. Your generation makes it, your generosity, your generation too, but your generosity makes this live broadcast possible. Please donate today at our website, unityofwesttexas.org, or on Facebook. Click on the Learn More button to donate. Please also subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is at Unity of West Texas. Again, thank you, and may God's light continue to shine through you. Namaste.